Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ego and ideological doctrine in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. So, what is this episode about? How about a realization and essentially it's about the ego and it's about desire and manifestation, and how ultimately what we desire is already ours. I've been reading Neville Goddard, and I've been paying attention to my own egoic activity. I've been continuing the Master of the Mind course with Aaron Epke, and what I've realized is that, we focus on our desires, what we desire in the future. That might be what we desire to have in the future or get in the future, or an outcome. It could be we might desire an end to something or to get rid of something in our external lives, or maybe even in our internal lives, whatever the difference is. And we have this outcome that we feel like we don't have, and we want to change things to make it so that we have it, or that to change it so that it's the way it should be, right? We don't accept the way it is. We are attached to an outcome which is not how it is being experienced by us. We experience it, or we desire, we feel that we don't have it the way we want it, right? So we seek to change it, we judge it as unworthy, right? But what happens is, when we judge it as unworthy, we're judging ourselves as unworthy. Why? Because we're all one, and it's ultimately a reflection of you. That which you experience is a reflection of you and your frequency. It's the law of vibration. Everything that you have, everything that you experience is already yours. Everything that you want is already yours. Everything that you don't want is already yours. So all these things that you're judging are yours, are you, right? And yet you're saying that those aspects of you are not good enough, need to be got rid of and changed to something else. So you're saying that you're not good enough. And if you believe that the way you are now, you're not satisfied with your life and your situation, you believe that you're not complete. You believe that in order to be complete or happy, fulfilled, what have you, you have to get this thing. And until then, you'll be unhappy, right? But you're unhappy because you believe you need these things to be happy. Now, how does Neville Goddard talk about manifesting your desires? What he talks about is, he talks about it in terms of the Bible, but to simplify it, you visualize, you imagine, you feel that desire, that outcome as being present. You visualize yourself as being there and it being with you. You get essentially, yes, that outcome, you visualize being there. An example is where he was visualizing, he told a story about how he visualized being at Christmas in, I think it's Barbados or something, with a relative of his, and for Christmas. And he really visualized the experience, he visualized the room, he visualized how he felt, he visualized and imagined it all, right? And he truly felt into that experience. right? And what you do, you could even imagine remembering the visualization that you're having when you're there, and imagine doing that now. That kind of creates a combination, but that kind of maybe complicates it. So you visualize what you desire. You just take note of what you desire, because what you desire is arising in you and you're feeling it. So instead of, oh, I desire this and I'm going to make this thing the outcome that I want, I'm going to make it happen by manifesting it, by imagining that I have it. No, 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 no. You see, that is attachment to the outcome that you want, that you believe that you don't have, that you're trying to do manifesting and mental trickery to get. It doesn't work that way, right? What you do, what I realized anyway, is you observe yourself and your mental activity. You notice the desire arise into your consciousness. Then what you do is you visualize, you remind yourself of how you already have it, and you visualize having it and the experience of having it. And visualize, so an example would be, you want to find, that as someone special in your life, who you really connect with and have joy with, a partner in life, right? And so you notice that you desire that, and you visualize what it would be like to have that really compatible partner in your life, and you feel what it would feel like. You put yourself there in your mind's eye and really believe that you already have that, because you do, right? Everything you desire, you already have. That's how it works. Truly feel into that, visualize it, and trust that that is how it is. You already have it. It's yours. Really believe that or know that, right? And it will come. If it doesn't come, consider whether you were attached to that outcome and were believing that you didn't have it and that you weren't good enough as not having it, and that to be complete, you had to have it. Were you judging not having it? Do you feel unhappy about not having that person in your life? Are you happy with yourself if you require that partner to be happy? And if you did meet in that sense, in that incompleteness, if you met that person, would it work if you fundamentally feel you're incomplete? Do you really believe that you're worthy if you believe that you don't have it? If you were worthy, would it not be yours? Is it not yours already? But you don't believe that, do you? Right? So, yes, we naturally will notice desires arising. So all we need to do is observe that and imagine, and visualize and feel with our mind's eye the experience that we notice we desire. Neville Goddard describes it as 6 days, right, the 6 days and then the 7th day, which is the Sabbath. He describes everything in the Bible in terms of all that is being the Father and you being the Son, essentially, symbolically. And everything in that light, it completely transforms how he interprets the Bible, which is really interesting. But yeah, perhaps that's the key. Because there's a way of trying to manifest which is fundamentally based on lack and is actually an egoic way of looking at it. And that is trying to use it as a means to get an outcome that you are attached to. And that isn't necessarily a harmonious approach, right? So you already are and already have that which you desire. Perhaps desire is a pointer to that which you can visualize and feel into having. Perhaps if you're not present all the time, you're not this enlightened being yet, or at least you don't believe you are, you can, perhaps your desires that arise are a signal to that which you can, they're a signal to how, an aspect in which you're missing the mark. Because you desire something, you feel that you don't have it. And if you remind yourself and truly visualize in your mind's eye that you already have it and you are there with that experience already, it's yours, time is illusion anyway, you hit the mark instead. It's like a correction of the mental programming or the energetic programming in your chakras or something. Because that is what the ego is ultimately. That's my perception of it now. That's what I've realized. The ego is like mental programming that is missing the mark. It's not, okay, so you're trying to write a program. You've got programming that serves the computer, let's say, to do its things that it does, right? But some of the code's off. There's, let's say, there's aspects of the code that miss the mark and don't hit the objective. They don't hit, they're not, yeah, it's not working, basically. You know what I mean? And it might be malware, or it might just be how it's programmed in a way that is based on lack or whatever. You've got this mental programming, right? Now, ego is when the programming misses a mark. It might be due to belief and lack. It might be due to trauma. It might be due to just the ego that's been present on Earth for a long time. It doesn't really matter why, though. Ultimately, there's a bunch of programming that isn't working for the whole, but is working in a out of limitation and lack. And it's kind of almost working against the whole, which you are. It's like in the Matrix, Agent Smith is like a code that's rebelling against the overall whole that is the overall computer network or whatever, right? It's rebelling, right? It's like, symbolically, it's like the Lucifer or Satan rebelling against God, right? It's like an aspect of the kingdom rebelling against the king, which is another interesting symbolism here. It's just simply like, how many times historically, it has to be in a kingdom, and there's been a not revolution, rebellion. The kingdom comes out of order, or, you know. Now, we can accept it. We can love that it's that way. We don't need to judge ourselves for missing the mark. We can just simply observe that we're missing the mark. Observe that there's this mental activity that's missing the mark. It's egoic. It's based on lack. And that's okay. And we can visualize being in completeness with regard to an aspect of that incompleteness. That your desires are a signal to an aspect of in which you're missing the mark. Visualize hitting the mark with regard to that. Truly put yourself in that position in your mind's eye. Then what happens is the programming gets corrected. How does the mind work? Who is the one that makes the decision? What is who anyway? What makes the decision? Is it the ego? Is that which has free will and makes decisions? Or is it the I am presence, the observer behind it all, let's say, observing all of that? Is it the thoughts rattling away in your head? Some of which might be intrusive thoughts that are almost like coming from the outside or something, or voices in the ether or something, you know. Or is it the I am? So the I am is the programmer, right? The programming is the ego, or at least the ego is the programming that hits the mark. The programming that hits the mark and is doing its job, right? That's fine. That's not ego. That's just mental activity in service of the divine and the whole and the I am. That's fine. That's more like, symbolically, that's more like Archangel Michael, right? Or something like that, right? You know, the actual angels. That's what that symbolizes. That's right. That's the symbolism there. Where was I? Maybe I stopped being present. I don't know. So, who was the one who just drank the water? Was it Nicholas? The identity of Nicholas? Was it? Well, programming is what did it, or at least enacted that. But the way the mind works is that, or at least my perception of it, is that the I am programs, the program runs the program. Okay, that sounds contradictory, but you know what I mean. So you set up the programming and then it just plays out. The ego is it playing out, but missing in the way that misses the mark. What happens if you correct the programming? You reprogram it so it's harmonious. The ego is no longer there. It all aligns with the whole. Nothing's lost. In fact, that which gets in the way of the connection with the whole that you are part of, and indeed are, that is it's corrected. The program is corrected. You are finding, you're coming home to yourself. You are lost, the prodigal son who was in suffering. You under illusion, in a mirror maze, trapped in a mirror maze, unable to, you know, in suffering, and yeah, and you come home and you feel joy And because you're no longer missing the mark, right? You come home and you don't lose your identity because your identity was never you anyway, right? You're not losing what isn't you. It is in a way a reflection of you, but only insofar as that you're missing the mark. It's actually a reflection of what you are not. What is not is technically part of the whole, but do you want to be authentically true to what you are, or do you want to miss the mark? Because that is how Neville Goddard defines sin. Sin, redefined by Neville Goddard, is not something to be this thing that you've done wrong, that's evil to be, and you need to be ashamed. No. It's simply you've missed the mark. Reprogram yourself to align with harmony of the whole. Voila. You're good, right? So pay attention to your mental programming. Pay attention to how it plays out. Pay attention to the thoughts, the mental activity, the feelings. Observe yourself. Observe that which you are, observe that which you are not. Observe your desires and visualize the having and the being of those desires that you already have. Because you do. The illusion that you lack it is an illusion. Visualize that illusion not being the case and having it already, and how that feels and how joyous and wonderful that feels. And you will realign yourself to the having it that you already have. Okay, so hopefully you got something out of this. Yeah, so I've got some tarot cards now, and I've been experimenting with that, and that's been quite interesting. And that actually is part of what helped me with my insights as well. Yeah, so I saw some clarity about what I learned yesterday and recently about what I've been talking about, more or less. And yeah, what really hit home for me, I suppose you could say, is yeah, this, you already have it. That which you desire, you already have. It's yours. The key is that you already have it. You are one with it all, right? It's already yours. Why are you running trying to find this thing that's yours already? Why are you running into the wilderness trying to find yourself? You're calling out your own name, trying to find and you're walking around in this world and this mirror maze or this wilderness, trying to find, and you hear echoes of your own voice. You're like, there I am. I'll go that way. But you don't really find yourself. You're like, oh God, why? Why can't I find myself? Oh, this is terrible. I lack myself. I'm lacking. I don't have what I. And you're looking and you're searching all over for these different identities that you're attached to, right? And these different outcomes that you're attached to. You're running around suffering. But as you gain awareness, as awareness comes to you, or as you notice where you're missing the mark, as you reprogram your mind, essentially, as you adjust your mental perception, it's like a compass that you can realign it to north, to true north, to truth, right? Because if your compass off, if it's not facing true north, you're going to just get lost, right? Realign internally, right? And you no longer miss the mark and keep getting lost in the forest of woe or suffering. And you've come back to home and it is joyous. And there is celebration and yeah. So of course you were home the whole time. You were just having a bad dream. And that's okay. So, have a wonderful moment, a turn on moment or something. I was going to say have a wonderful day, but I was like, yeah, I'm overthinking it or something. I was like, all right, enjoy your life and all that. Bye for now.